Right, let's get started. So, thank you and welcome everyone to this is the very first virtual event for Longevity Riyadh. And for those of you who don't know what Longevity Riyadh is, it's a local community, but part of a global movement, part of a global movement called Longevity Cities, which has 11,000 members globally. And the purpose of the community is a very simple idea: is that we all want to live a longer life, but it only matters if you feel good. And so you're going to learn a lot more about Longevity Riyadh over the coming weeks and months. We've got lots of physical events planned. We've had a run club, and we're going to have an event like tonight in a couple of months' time as well. But I'll share some more details towards the end of the call. But today we have a very cool guest, and there's a lot of ways to introduce him. But I think the funniest, well, not the funniest, but the most standout moment I learned about Mazen is that 48 hours before he was about to do a half Ironman in Dubai, he unfortunately got stuck with food poisoning. Not tired, not sore, not sick, actually just in a bathroom, not feeling well. Nevertheless, he still lined up on race day. And so today we're going to be talking about that particular story, but we're also going to be talking about things like training, vitality, family, and what it actually means to chase something big. And also how you look after yourself. So, without any further doubt, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mazen Jaroudi. Welcome to the call, and thank you for taking the time to share your story today.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it.
So, you're obviously quite an active person, which we're going to go into a lot more details. You've got an Ironman, which you're training for in the Saudi heat, which where today it's been 45 degrees, and I know you're up at 5 o'clock this morning, training for 2 hours. But take us back. Who is Mazen before he became into this sort of competitive streak?
Hi. So my name is Mazen Jaroudi. So I grew up the entire time here in Saudi. I lived here for approximately 13 years, and then after that, I moved to the US and continued my studyings there in high school, and then I decided to move back. But as I said, as you mentioned earlier, so I was always an active person. I used to like outdoor activities. I like skiing, I like scuba diving, and then I also like to be outdoors and do anything active. So that's something that I've always been interested in. So that's mainly what I like to do.
Always been an active person that's been the foundation of your life for quite some time. What's changed for you in the last sort of couple of years that's enabled you to take it a bit more to a serious level to things like the Ironman that you're currently training for?
Yeah, so before I decided to get into strength training just to take care of myself and got into bodybuilding. At one point, my weight was at roughly 110 kgs. So of course, I had to take care of myself. So the one way to do that was to drop in weight. So roughly, it took me roughly around 7 to 8 months to drop the weight from 110 kgs to 87. And at the same time, I was counting my calories, and I decided to do a deficit, especially towards the last 3 or 4 months of my transformation. But once it got closer to the last 2 months of the transformation, I had to reduce my calories down to roughly 1,500 calories. And that for sure was not enjoyable especially for a guy of my size. I definitely did not enjoy it. I was not sociable. Nothing was fun about it during that time. And at the same time, it was also not healthy to reduce that much calories. And I for sure will never recommend it to anyone to drop that much calories. Yeah.
So I mean that's a pretty incredible amount of weight loss, a healthy rate of weight loss, I would say. And I think you lost something like 12% body fat, you said as well. And as you said, you would not recommend it to everyone. But I think nutrition is something you've learned a lot about in your journey. I think, you used to have pizza on a Thursday and popcorn. So you've always enjoyed your food. I guess, how have you taken the nutrition component of your lifestyle to that next level?
Yeah, so after the weight loss journey of to as I said 1,500, I decided that doing calorie breakdown was not for me anymore. I didn't enjoy the process of bodybuilding, so I wanted the challenge. So there was just one day I was just sitting on the beach during a Eid holiday, and an ad popped up for Ironman. So I remember that day I contacted a friend and I said, "Hey, I've known that you've done several of them, so why not?" I looked at my wife as well and I told her, I'm thinking of doing an Ironman. So she, of course, thought I was crazy, or half an Ironman. So I said, you know what? Let's just go for it and see what this endurance sport is all about. And that journey started roughly 2 to 3 years ago. And I went from eating 1,500 calories to roughly around 3,000 calories. And as you know, as you stated earlier regarding the pizzas, yeah, of course, when you train for an Ironman or any endurance sports, I would eat some pizzas or burgers, but that doesn't mean you have to eat processed food. I would definitely highly recommend to eat anything from the kitchen. Stay away from processed food. But the intake of calories that I had to consume during the last 2, 3 years is definitely on the higher carb sides, just to sustain energy and to keep moving. And you need those carbs to build that engine.
Yeah. And I think there's a moment, probably about 2 to 3 years ago, at a similar time when you sort of started getting serious about your activity levels, that your mum was concerned about you as well.
Yes, yes. So before that, during the strength training session, when I dropped in those 1,500 calories, my mom thought that I looked sick. So of course, like any son, he listened to his mom, and then she actually booked for him a doctor's appointment. So I went into the doctor's appointment and he was confused of why I was there. And I told him it's because my mom told me to come in because she thought I was sick. And then he said that there was nothing wrong with me. And I, of course, told her that there isn't nothing wrong with me. I was just consuming so much less calories for a guy of my caliber. Again, I was training 5 times a week, strength training, and I was doing 3 times a week MMA. And you're eating only 1,500 calories. So that ideally, that is not smart, or I would definitely for sure not recommend it for anyone because you need food. You need those calories in order just to build your engine.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty smart because yes, you've been active, but when you focused on the nutrition, maybe you had a bit of a kick up the bum from your mum along the way.
Of course.
But you spoke about the focus on the macros and the proportion of carbs and proteins you have. And I think that's really important because sometimes I think that educational element of how much you need from different sources of food is really important as part of your journey.
Yes, of course. So you do have to always look into nutrition. The one thing that I always said is like try to stay away from processed food. Processed food will definitely not help with anything throughout the journey, whether it is in your activity level or even your recovery. If you're going to have anything processed, is like pizzas or burgers or whatever it is, your body's not gonna adapt to it the next day. And that's happened to me in the past where I would be eating clean for a full week and then I decide roughly one night, let's order a pizza. But then the next day, my body, of course, rejects that. So it's always better to eat clean. And of course, to either count your calories or then eventually you'll know what you'll be doing. But carbs for sure, I would definitely recommend it to anyone. And don't think that carb is the enemy. It's the opposite. Carbs actually fuel your body, and you need those carbs just for you to sustain what you're trying to do. A lot of people have that stereotype that thinking that carbs is bad for you, that carbs are going to make you bigger or gain some weight. But if you utilize the carbs properly, it's actually going to help you sustain that energy. It's going to help you do activities. That's why a lot of us take, bananas or we eat rice throughout the day because we need those carbs for energy. If you don't eat those carbs, you're not going to have any energy throughout the day at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. So, how about you tell us about your recent race history? So, you said you were an
Of course.
everyday gym goer type person, tennis, strength training, etc. But in the last 2 to 3 years, you've really upped it. So maybe you can start from, you think you did half Ironman in November 2024, I think.
Yes, so in 2024, it was the year where I decided to switch from purely focusing on strength training to endurance sports, and that's where Ironman came around. So I signed up for Ironman 70.3 in Turkey with 3 to 4 months of training, and at the same time, we were already in summer holidays, so we went to France in Cannes. So after that is when, of course, I had to start training for my first half Ironman, and that's when everything started. So, of course, the number one thing that I always said before any of the Ironman journeys that I went through was I always, always asked my wife first, because if you don't have that family support in Ironman training, don't go for it because you're going to need their support throughout the journey. They're going to have to be there by your side because it is a long journey. So of course, when she said yes, she's with me. That's when we started with the first half Ironman. Was training roughly 6 days a week, around 13 hours per week, and I would wake up roughly around 5:30 every morning just to go train. And as you said, living in Saudi, the temperatures being at roughly 41, 42 degrees, it's not the nicest thing to train outdoors. So fast forward to 3, 4 months into the journey, we had our first half Ironman, and it was definitely a great feeling, to be honest. Everyone gets scared about these events, like what to expect in the swim, what to expect in the bike. How are you going to do? Do you have a social life? Do you not have a social life? Of course, that is some sacrifices that I have to make during this journey. I had to sacrifice not going out on Thursday nights because I had to wake up early on Fridays just to go on a bike ride for 3 to 4 hours. I have to sacrifice sometimes saying no to the wife going out on Fridays because maybe I'm tired. So there are definitely a lot of sacrifices that one has to make, and I'll get to a point closer when I get to the full Ironman. Once I finished my Ironman journey in Turkey in November, I remember I came back to Saudi roughly 1 week into it. I decided, let's pick up another challenge. I always like to put a challenge per year so that I can go and attack that challenge. If I just have nothing to do and just work out, I think I'll get bored. So I like to put a challenge. So the the next challenge was to run a marathon, to put it as a bucket list. With 2 months away from running a marathon I remember in January, I decided to go on a ski vacation to Courchevel in France. And I can tell you that I maybe roughly only had 1 month of training of the Ironman, sorry, of the marathon journey. But like any other sport, I decided and I went for it and I got it done. But I remember telling myself on that day that I will never run a marathon again. And fast forward to Dubai. Dubai came in 2025, and similarly to 2024, once I finish an event, it's like, what should I do next? What challenge should I put ahead of me? And that's what I like every year, just to put a challenge and attack that challenge, no matter the consequences. Dubai came around as well. Dubai's race was also in November of 2025. And I remember started training for that similarly in August. But this time around for Dubai's race, I remember talking to my wife about what, what is the possibility of me doing a full Ironman? She thought I was crazy. Why go for a full? Do a couple halves. So I told her, but of course, will you support me if I decide to go for a full Ironman? And then she, of course, said yes, but she thought it was crazy. And once she said yes, I remember scouting for Ironman courses to do in 2026. Um, I decided to pick a course in Sweden, and I told her again before I signed up, are you willing to support me as this journey is going to even be more awful? Because more sacrifices, more time on my hands. It's going to be a longer journey to train for. Roughly, it takes me now 6 to 7 months of training. But again, she accepted that, and I'm grateful for that. And on top of that, the twist of everything was before we went on summer holidays in July, end of July. she told me I'm pregnant. So that's of course great news that we got the news about the pregnancy. But then I knew I had a bigger challenge on top of everything now with two kids and trying to do a full Ironman. So fast forward to Turkey, sorry, to Dubai. Dubai came around in November, trained again 3 months. But the last week before Dubai's trip happened, I was hit by a flu. And then 48 hours before the race happened, I was hit with food poisoning. And then I was not sure whether or not I would be able to do the race. Uh, it was not a matter of should I pull out or not. I did do the work, but I said to myself, are you already here? And of course, I had a friend with me during that time. He also pushed me, and I decided, let's go for the race. Let's not care about the numbers. Let's just finish the race. And that's what happened. We went for it, did the journey, and we got that race done. And once that race was over, I, of course, took 2 weeks off from training completely. And after those 2 weeks were done in November, I remember I started the journey for a full Ironman, which started in December of 2025. And I've been training ever since December until this day. Right now, I'm training roughly 7 days a week and approximately 18 hours of training a week. And having two kids is not easy, but of course, praise to the wife who is definitely taking control of everything. And I try to assist as much as possible, but it's not an easy journey. Those are the sacrifices I have to make. Waking up at 5:30, waking up at on the weekends at 4:30, just to avoid the heat. I have to cycle actually this Friday for 6.5 hours, and then I have to run for an hour. And then on Saturday, I have to run for roughly 3.5 hours. So yeah, it's a long journey.
Well, that's incredible. So you spoke about food poisoning 2 days before your half Ironman. Just to be absolutely clear, if I had food poisoning, I'd be in bed for about 4 or 5 days and hoping my wife was going to bring me porridge or soup or something like that. So kudos to you for even completing that race. Um, you've spoken a lot about your wife and your family and your sacrifice. I think that's a really good segue to talk about that because for me, you've been my inspiration. I've moved to Saudi Arabia about 6, 7 weeks ago with my wife. I love to run. I think when I sort of met you and heard about how you go about training, it inspires me to get up at 4:30 in the morning, or just that little bit earlier, just to go out for a run outside, before it gets too hot. So you definitely been my inspiration. But from a personal perspective, you've spoken about your wife and your kids. I think your wife was more nervous you coming on this call than you were tonight. So obviously she's been a really great support for you. Maybe like walk through your week because you have a young family,
Yes.
you have a wife, you have a 9 to 5 job, and you're training, I think, 18 hours a week for the Ironman, which is about 3, 4 weeks away. So maybe describe your typical day in the life of Mazen.
Yes, sure. A typical day will be roughly I will wake up either at the 5 or 5:30, and for me, I would rather do all my training in the morning, because I want to focus when I come back at home with the kids and the wife. Because in the end, if you think about it, is that they're also sacrificing their time as well. So for me, I cannot just come home and be tired or just show them tired. I need to show them that, I want to play with you guys. Even if I'm tired, I'm going to have to show that I want to show them that, hey, you guys waited for me, the kids, so I'm going to play with you. So I'm going to give them that time. I cannot say I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. Leave me alone. That's not fair to them. So that's how I like to look at it. So it is a 5:30 a.m. wake up, and then I train for roughly 2 to 3 hours. And then it is usually breakfast, and then I have work, and I come back home for lunch, eat lunch with the wife and my two kids, and then go back to work. And it is dinner at 7. So I am pretty consistent in the timings. Like as you know, breakfast being at 9, lunch at 2, dinner at 7. Just because I also then end up sleeping at 9:30, because I do have to wake up again at 5:30, and then it's actually worse on the weekends, especially in the last 2 months, because the volume of training has went up, where I have to spend now 5 hours on the bike on Fridays compared to the 4 hours. And this weekend it's going to be actually a 6.5 hour bike ride, followed by a 1 hour run. And on Saturday is going to be a 3.5 hour run. So that's yes, family is definitely important. Showing up for them is definitely important because in the end they are waiting for you. And the last thing I want to do is come and say, hey, I don't want to do anything. So I do have to give them what they deserve, because they deserve it for sure.
Yeah. And you've not been afraid to say no also. You go to bed at 9:30, so we've got about an hour to wrap this call up, or we'll be done before then. But you're not being afraid to say no to friends, like meeting up, because the culture and the social life in Saudi Arabia is to go out later at night, but you've not been afraid to say no.
Yeah, that is true. I'm definitely not afraid to say no, and I think by now the friends know that they would not contact me during the week just because I'm going to say no for anything late at night, and they praise everything regarding that. And I think the wife understands, especially in the last 2 months, because the last 2 months is pretty much the peak season of me building, I guess, my engine for the race in 3 weeks' time. So yeah, for sure I'm not shy of saying no.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously this call was about longevity, so we can't talk about longevity without talking about data and metrics. So what are the sort of things you keep a track of in particular on a day-to-day basis, week by week basis, for example?
Mainly sleep. So I do wear a Whoop device. So I do track the sleep because without sleep, that is the number one recovery tool. I do also use the sauna and the ice baths roughly 3 times a week. Just so I need to cool my body down or I need to recover my sore muscles. Everything is already tensed up. So that is a huge requirement that has to be taken care of. And of course, nutrition. Without any proper nutrition, your body won't recover at all.
Yeah. And is there anything you're not measuring that you would love to be able to quantify?
So look, there is a saying that I like to put out, which is if it matters to you, you'll make time. So you can't measure that, right?
Yeah.
So for me, this Ironman matters to me. So I'm putting the time and the effort. So I think that this statement should apply for anyone, whether it is a fat loss journey, whether it is them trying to gain some muscle or attack any sort of activity. If it matters for you, you will definitely make some time. So that is definitely important, and that's one tool that I like to go by.
Yeah. So you have a intense day-to-day life. Are there days you wake up and think, bugger this, I can't be bothered to train today?
Oh yeah, for sure. I have a lot of days like that, especially on those long days on Fridays or Saturdays. But I look at them as just walls that you want to kick down. So no matter how tired you are, no matter how fatigued you are, you still have to go and get it done. And that's why I said, like, if it matters to you, you'll make the time. So of course, yes. If I say no, that there are no days, I'll be lying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant. So we've learned a lot about you from what you do exercise wise, what you do nutrition wise, and also from a mindset wise as well, as you just shared. And about a year ago, you actually started something called Meta Move. Maybe you want to explain what that's about.
Yes, so it's a platform that I like to utilize to assist others. I remember seeing one time a colleague at the office, and he was walking up a flight of stairs and he was out of breath. So the whole idea of Mana Move is about how to transform one's life to the better. That could be by movement, that could be by nutrition. That doesn't mean you have to work out, but that means, do something to transform yourself. I try to use my journey, what I've gone through, and what I've learned, the goods or the bads, and try to help others if they need it. I do try to put a lot of tips online on my Instagram post on Meta Mov. Just try to assist wherever is possible. I do have now two coaches that help in online coaching as well. And then on my journey, my part as well, I'll give some feedback on what I've gone through, whether it's nutrition wise or activity wise, just to try to assist. We do know that Saudi Arabia is growing to become better in activity wise. But at the same time, as you said earlier, everyone likes to stay up. They like to stay up to drink coffee. They like to have a lot of fast food. There's a lot of processed foods. So we need to are trying to convince them, try to stay away from those processed food, eat some healthy options, take care of yourself. Can you see yourself after 5, 10 years playing with your kids, playing fetch with them, going after them without getting out of breath? That's my whole motto. Like I am right now, I am 40 with two kids, a wife, a job. I've done two half Ironmans and now training for a full Ironman. So there's no excuse, right? And you just got to tackle it. And that's what, Meta Move is all about. Try to transform your body to the better shape it is, hence the longevity.
Yeah, brilliant. Um, so I guess going to ask you two questions. One is with all the training, the sacrifice, the early mornings, are you happy?
Of course, if I wasn't happy, I wouldn't have signed up for this race. If I wasn't happy, I wouldn't have done like the half Ironmans or the marathons. It's something that I enjoy. It might sound crazy for others to say that I enjoy to punish myself, but I like to put a goal in mind every year. I like to tackle those challenges. So for me, one goal a year is fine, fine. If it's two goals a year, it's fine. It's that no matter what it is. But as long as I put something that I can know that I can go ahead and tackle it.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you one more question. I'm going to ask you to have a think about that because while I ask you that, I'll open up the chat as well. So if anybody has any questions for you, we can take them via the chat. And I guess that is, what's the one thing people need to be aware of before they start any program or any training plan or activity plan? What's the one most important thing that you've learned that's important to driving that sort of activity?
That you're willing to want it. Don't say that I want to lose weight, for example, in the 1, 2 months time. You need to be confident enough and willing enough to want it for yourself. You have to take care of yourself before anything else. So whether if that is, I want to be a better CrossFitter, go learn CrossFit. You want to do high rocks, go start that journey. You have to want to you have to want it. If you're not convinced to yourself, then what's the point? You need to be for yourself, for your longevity, for your health being. You should know what you want in the end. Otherwise, what are you fighting for? What are these wake ups for in the end? What are these challenges that you're attacking for in the end? If you're not convinced yourself, then don't go for it.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you very much for your sharing your story, Mason. So you're Iron Man in Sweden, is that correct?
Yes, it is on August 15th.
Wow, so about 3-ish weeks away. So your training plan must be tapering down now.
Hopefully after this weekend. After this weekend, in a couple days, I do have a 6.5 hour bike ride and a 8K run, and then on Saturday I have a 28K run.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Great. So I was just going to say, um, anyone's got any questions, please put them in the chat. We are starting to get some. So from Ben, we've got, as you're saying, every year you are seeking a new challenge. Keen to take on the marathon disables 2027 with it.
Yes, me and Ben have discussed this before. The only thing with the Marathon des Sables is that you have to sign a waiver. So, if anything happens to you, it's not their problem. But it is something I can discuss with him after this call for sure.
Maybe tell everyone what that race is about. I've heard of it, but I'm not entirely sure what it is.
So it is 5 days in the Sahara Desert, I think. or sorry, in Morocco, or I believe somewhere in the desert, and you have to, I believe, accomplish 240 miles of running. Where like day one is roughly around 20K, then day two is 40K, and then I remember like day three is 80K, day four is 80K, and you have to sleep in tents. And you have to sleep in tents, and you have to bring your own sleeping bag as well with you. And you have to feed yourself, bathe yourself, of course. So yeah, I do know that he has mentioned this to me in the past.
Sounds a ball of fun. Question from Mo. So we spoke about, what you're tracking and Whoop, etc. So curious if you change your workouts based on your Whoop score, and do you find that naturally you know how your body feels otherwise?
I do not change my workouts based on my Whoop score. The only thing that I do enjoy about the Whoop is the age, the health span. So I've realized ever since I did move into endurance that my age has decreased. The one thing I do look in the recovery is I try not to use the recovery score as much as I need to for my workouts because I do know that I have to train for an Ironman regardless. Especially on the weekends where my recovery would be around 30% or 40%. But I still have that run to do because your body needs to feel that fatigue when it comes to that race day. The cutoff for that race day on Ironman is 16 hours. So it's how much can my body adapt to in that 16 hours. So of course you want to try to finish it in 13, 14, 15 hours. So even if my recovery is low, I'm gonna have to still go for that longer sessions because I am gonna already go that throughout that day, and the body needs to make sure that it can do it. I already tackle a lot on the weekends, as I said, like roughly around 18 hours of work throughout the entire week, and mainly on the weekends where it's can easily hit 7 to 8 hours on a Friday and 3 to 4 hours on a Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's great. I think for anyone who doesn't know, the Whoop, can tell you it calculates a biological age for you, I think it is. So based on all the data it collects, it sort of estimates how old you actually are versus your actual age.
Okay.
And I've got to say, I'm glad the World Cup is over because of, I wear a whoop as well. And because of my disrupted sleep, because of what time the World Cup is in Saudi Arabia, I've actually become a year older in the last couple of weeks. So I'm glad the World Cup is over. It's a question from AC, I'm going to say. What goes through your mind when you know you still have a marathon left after the swim and the bike? And I think maybe you might want to explain to everyone actually what the different distances are as well, just as a precursor.
So in a Ironman 70.3, the distances are a 1.9K swim, a 90K bike, and then a 21K run. So now for the full Ironman, it's going to be a 3.8K swim, a 180K bike, and then a 42K run. What is my mind going through when the marathon part comes? So I have been researching about this a lot, watching a lot of YouTube. Uh, you know, they say the marathon's either gonna break you or you're gonna go for it. So of course, my plan is not to overthink it, to maybe walk in every aid station, which I know that they have it at roughly 2.5 kilometers. And then in my head to count 20 seconds in every aid station if I need to walk it. And don't go out fast. Just stick to the training that you've been doing. You've been doing all these long runs. All my long runs on Saturdays, I actually stop at 2.5 kilometers. I stop at 5. I stop at 7.5, as if I'm doing the actual marathon race. And that's where I'm drinking my waters. That's where I'm taking my gels or my carbs. I'm trying to simulate the same feeling that I'm going to feel during that day. Uh, it is going to be challenging. No one says it's not going to be challenging. But with the support, hopefully you can see the wife maybe in the crowd, get some motivation from her. One of my daughters will definitely be coming with us. So of course, that's going to be nice to see, as she's been to Turkey, the marathon, Dubai, and now Sweden.
Yeah. And I think we didn't mention the ages of your two daughters, but one is 4 months old and one is 3 years old, right?
Correct.
So young family. Cool. So another question from Mo. How do you plan to stay focused during Ironman? Maybe you sort of answered that already, but
Yeah, look, so the swim I feel like will be the easiest for me so far. You just gotta tackle it. You gotta trust the training. It is a long distance. I'm not gonna lie. Like I get very bored when I do it in the pool. I swim in a 25-meter pool, and I have to do 4,000 meters twice a week. And so you can imagine you're doing roughly around 160 to 170 laps without music, And in Ironman, you're not allowed to use any music. So that is a big challenge for sure. And then when it comes to the bike course, just the one thing that I'm going to stay focused in is going to be nutrition. Try to take as much nutrition as I can on the bike course, because if not, my legs are going to get tired. I'm going to get fatigued, and the marathon will then be a disaster. So I think that's the one thing that I'm going to focus on when it comes to the bike, is try to take as much fluids as possible, so that when the marathon comes, at least you're ready, and just take it one step at a time. And hopefully, with all this training, everything can, we just, that feeling crossing that red carpet and then hearing the words "You are an Ironman." That's definitely one thing that I'm looking forward to.
yeah, yeah. So a question from Aaron. When things get tough during the race, what keeps you going?
When things go tough in a race, what keeps me going? So one thing happened to me in Dubai. I remember the day I had the food poisoning. And when I came to the run part of the race after finishing the bike, and just seeing the daughter ring the cowbells, saying "Go, Daddy, go!" And it was 3 loops. So I remember each loop I would see her. Sometimes you do it also for them, showing them that anything is possible. As long as you put your mind to it, put your heart into it, anything is possible. You cannot say, age. You cannot, don't use age as an excuse. For me, age is just a number. So, as long as you're committed to something, attack it. And for sure, the outcome and the results is definitely worth it. Another one would be the marathon. When I finished the marathon, my brother asked me what was the best thing about the marathon, and I said the finish line. So for me, the Ironman, that's what I'm looking forward to, that red carpet towards the end, hearing those words
Yeah.
after, training for it for so long.
And I assume your daughter will bring her cowbells as well
Oh, of
again.
course, for sure.
So a really good question here from Mon.
Okay.
What has this journey taught you about what you're actually capable of?
Patience, stability, uh, you know, patience for sure. I'm gonna have to say the most, and the struggle, the challenges. Uh, the body is more capable of doing than what you think it can. It's more capable of doing anything. I never thought that I would sit on a bike for 5 hours. It's more of a mindset, a mind game in the end. So, for me, waking up was never a problem. I never had that as an issue, but I think it's more of a mental game, my mental aspect of it, and patience for sure. Lots of patience, and that transforms in both the office and at home. Having a lot of patience, because the
Yeah.
moment you get stressed, everything goes bad. So always staying happy, never staying sad.
Another question from Ben. Good one, actually. So, has your definition of success changed over the years as you've done different types of competitions, different sporting activities? So, has your definition of success changed, and has it gone from chasing faster times to optimizing long-term health? Like, tell us.
Ben is a very good he's a good friend, and I know that he has a lot of he does also a lot of activities as well. I know he's a high rocks or a CrossFit athlete. That's also maybe I think training for high rocks, I believe. Uh, Success, if you don't succeed, if you fail, you don't succeed, or if you succeed, you don't fail. So thankfully, so far, all of my journeys have been a success. Uh, but without the challenges that I have to go through and the sacrifices that I have to take, nothing will be possible. Nothing is gonna be achievable. That's why I always go back to, asking the wife, are you okay with me joining a race? Are you okay with me doing this or not? I believe if she would have said no to one of the races, I just wouldn't have gone with it because you need their support in the end. Without their support, nothing will be possible.
Very nice one. So obviously, you're going to smash Iron Man. Have you already got a next thing in mind?
Yes. So I believe, try to s- stay away from the endurance, but maybe a high rocks event would be nice to attend. I'm not saying no for the Ironmans, that's for sure. But maybe I will not do I will not do a full one again, because I do know how long this took me to train for it. But for sure, I'll go after another half. At least that I can attack the times, I can beat previous times. But I think right now would be High Rocks, or maybe with if Ben is crazy enough, if we can gather two or three more people to do the marathon this out, why not? As long as we put a challenge in front of us, why not? You know, that's the beauty about it. I feel like put a challenge, put something that is hard to achieve, put something that you need to put that grits in it. If you do it with friends or with communities, it makes the process much more enjoyable. I'm unfortunately I train alone for this race, but doing it with friends is definitely much more enjoyable. And if Ben wants to do Marathon des Alpes, I'll make a deal with him. If he can get two, three more people in, why not? We can do it for sure.
All right. Well, we've got about 30 people on the call today. So if there's any volunteers, feel free to message us afterwards and we'll share your details with Mason and Ben as well. Brilliant. So I don't think we've got any more questions. So I think that just leaves me to say thank you, Mason, for sharing your story. The title of this call was, Ironman is not for everyone, but longevity is. And I think the key threads that I've picked up, having been speaking to you and listening to you today as well, is that nutrition is important, exercise is important, but so is mindset. And I think those three components together is also contributes to what longevity actually is. Longevity isn't cryotherapy, infrared saunas. It's a lot more simpler than that. So I think your story has been really great to listen to. And thank you to everyone who's been listening to Mazen. Hope you've enjoyed the conversation. If you do have any feedback or any further questions, feel free to reach out to us. We've got an Instagram page called Longevity Riyadh. We'd love for you to follow that. We've got more events planned. We have run clubs, we have walk clubs, and we're going to be having another virtual event in August. And then when the weather starts to cool down here in Riyadh in September, we're going to have our very first in-person event. So we'll be sure to share that. And it's great timing because someone's just knocked on my door. So it's probably an Amazon delivery. But thank you again to everyone. And yeah, thanks for listening. And thank you again, Mason.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.